Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to Sapphire Hope, a space where inspiration and meaningful connections come together. Join me on a journey of growth with the power of hope, one sapphire at a time. My current mission? To somehow get a letter to Harry from his mum. A daunting task that has led me here to create this channel and a spiritually guided book. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm also new here. Please hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. Today I would like to share with you a poignant part of the book, the first chapter. Oh, and I apologise in advance for my accent. I hope your ears don't hurt too much. All right, away we go. Prologue. Some stories are born in silence. Others are born screaming. Mine arrived as a whisper, an echo from beyond the veil, wrapped in doubt, urgency, and divine timing. This is not just about Prince Harry. It's not even just about Princess Diana. This is a story about messages, those we receive, those we ignore, and those we are brave enough to send, even when no one answers. In early 2025, I was thrust into a spiritual mission I never asked for, tasked with delivering insights that felt too heavy to carry alone. They came not in dreams, but in downloads, in nudges and names, in visions and voices. This book traces that journey. It is part memoir, part record, and part hope. If you're holding it now, then perhaps some part of you was meant to read it, to see if the silence says something to you too. Chapter 1, Spirit. My personal origin, psychic awakening, and the three souls who confirmed my path, Alex, Val, and Linda. I was raised by my wonderful mum, but I spent much of my time with my nanny, especially when I was away from school sick, some weekends, and school holidays. She was a proud Christian and a devoted royalist. We would sit together watching every royal event on television, her eyes lighting up at the sound of bagpipes and bands. She took me to church now and then, always introducing me proudly as her first and only granddaughter. I have a strange little memory lying in the back seat of the car. Must have been around 7 or 8 years old. Didn't need seatbelts in those days. Nanny was in the front passenger seat, so we had face-to-face contact, or rather my face to the side of hers. For no reason at all, I started singing Amazing Grace, just softly to myself. Nanny's face lit up. She turned to look at me with this expression of pride and gentle surprise, then turned to Mum, who was driving, and smiled. I think she knew I was different. Maybe she didn't have the words for it, but I think she knew. I remember feeling a little embarrassed when I caught her glance, even though I wasn't really old enough to understand why I should feel embarrassed. I just was. Maybe it was because I thought I had that back seat to myself. That little bubble of space and sound was mine. So I sang, never expecting Mum and Nanny to hear me. In my early 20s, I became curious about who my biological father was. I found out what his surname was through an uncle, and wrote to the only person in Auckland with that surname. It turned out he had been living just 20 minutes away my entire life. When we met, he asked if I had experienced any spirits yet, and I said no. And he said, well, wait until you're in your 40s. They won't leave you alone. He said they often bother him, especially at night when he's trying to sleep. I saw a couple of psychics who told me I was psychic, but I didn't believe them. I didn't believe my father either when he told me. I only saw him a couple of times before I left for my OE at age 22. I left home, never for 1 minute knowing that when I left her at the airport, that would be the last time I would see my nanny. Sorry. Oh dear, that was a hot, burny little sore cry that just snuck out there. Sorry everyone, but oh well, I'm keeping it real, I guess. Okay, I've got all of that sadness out the way. Carrying on. Bouncing around London as a youngster was a huge start to my adult life. After much toiling with finding work, I finally found a job in a pub in Piccadilly Circus. I met my future husband who worked in the bar across the road from mine. He moved into the bar and we became a bar couple. The bar phone rang one afternoon. It was for me. It was Mum telling me that Nanny had died. Oh boy, what a mess I was. My boyfriend and I left our jobs and he escorted me home for the funeral. We got married so he was able to work in the country. We had a son and relocated to Exeter while I was pregnant with my daughter. When the marriage didn't work out, we both came back to my country with our kids. He met his second wife at work and I forged ahead trying to find my next husband, my next anything. Never met a new husband, but had many jobs and experiences and brought my kids up with their dad and his wife as a split family. In my late 30s, I was a bridesmaid for my friend. This was the day of my first psychic medium experience. The groom's grandmother came through me and said she is wearing her special brooch for the wedding. I remember it felt so weird, a funny taste in my mouth, an overwhelming feeling of something I can't put into words. It startled the groom and the groom's family even more. This was the start of my journey as a spiritual psychic medium. From that friend's wedding, I spent the next 20 years learning and practicing my ability. Spirit would place me in certain places at certain times with certain people and bam, there was a reading for them. Mainly work colleagues, friends of friends, all got readings and I kept on learning. I have found out that the most fulfilling experience as a medium is when I give a reading to someone, they pass away, then come back to me from the other side. Alex's story. Alex was my ex-father-in-law. When he was diagnosed with cancer, I gave him a reading with his mother not long before he died. She said she was getting his room ready for when he arrived on the other side. As confirmation, she stated that he had a Croxley writing pad with blue lines and had written a list of things to do before he died. I listed the things one after the other. At the end of the reading, he got up, went to a hidden section of his bookcase and pulled out the Croxley pad with the list. He was quite shocked and amazed that his ex-daughter-in-law might be carrying such a strange gift. After he passed, he came back through to me to connect with his son, my ex-husband. One of the messages he shared was about a big new game that would soon be released and go worldwide. A few months later, World of Warcraft launched. My son and his dad are keen gamers, and we're looking forward to the new game. Alex's return confirmed something sacred. Spirit doesn't just speak through memories or grief. It speaks through specifics, through humour, through surprises that nobody else could have known. Val's story. I used to do cleaning and ironing for an older lady named Val. I got to know her and her family very well after the many years working for them. One day while ironing, I felt Val's mother's presence and shared it with Val. She wasn't a particularly spiritual person that I knew of, and was enthralled to hear from her mother. A few years later, Val got cancer and passed away. Over lockdown, Val's daughter and I went for a drive to chill at Point Chev Marina. The place was packed with other people trying to escape the lockdown woes. Val came through to her daughter while we were sitting in the car and told her she was going to have many more grandchildren, more tattoos and blonde hair. Val's daughter always dyed her hair dark brown, so the thought of her going blonde seemed far-fetched at the time. Fast forward a couple of years and she has more tattoos, blonde hair and mega grandkids. She has shared so many beautiful pics of her grandkids and herself, and they all look fabulous. Linda's story. Linda is a friend I made at work. We worked at Auckland Hospital together for 8 years until I was bullied out of my role by a psychopath manager. During my time at Auckland Hospital, Linda's sister became ill while visiting New Zealand and ended up at the hospital on her deathbed. Linda took some annual leave to spend time with her dying sister. My jobs at work were all up to date, so I thought I would take an early afternoon tea and pop into her sister's room to give Linda my support. Linda was there with another friend and her son. I was just expecting to give Linda a hug and then leave, but Spirit had other ideas. I was only in there about 10 minutes, but those 10 minutes were like a lifetime. The nurse came in to check her heart and it was still beating, and the nurse left. A couple of minutes later, I'm not sure exactly how long, I felt the urge to get close to her as Linda was touching her, holding her face, lifting her jaw to meet her head correctly. I then stood back by the door, and all of a sudden I saw Linda's sister bolt upright from her body. She glared at me and said, "Who are you?" In a split second, she knew. I pointed at the tuk-tuks with my eyes. Her family were driving tuk-tuks and had come to collect her. And off she went. She was so quick to hop on and go home. Linda witnessed it all and listened to my explanation of what was happening with grace and openness. I told Linda she was gone now and that she'd driven out the window with her family in tuk-tuks. It's not funny, but yeah, it sounds funny. A few moments later, the nurse came back in. We whispered to the nurse, "We think she's gone now." And the nurse checked, and yes, she had gone. I had to get back to my post and gave Linda a hug and left. I floated on out of there like I was in a dream. And I was a bit freaked out, and yet I felt very, very honoured to be a part of Linda's sister's passing. This is where the silence begins to speak. End of chapter 1. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed hearing a bit more about my history in this chapter. and encourage you to reach out in the comments with your own experiences and any questions you may have. I'll touch base again soon and look forward to more adventures with our rapidly growing group of subscribers, lovingly dubbed as the Fellowship of the Crown. Bye for now. Toodles!